I want to congratulate you, Amanda, on having an absolutely phenomenal year. There's been a few blips, right? And we've all had to change and learn, but I am absolutely as proud of you as I am every one of my other children.
And Dean.
And I'm proud of Dean because you and he are all part of the family. Do you like living next to your mom and dad and brother?
Yes.
Yeah? What's good about it?
That's fine.
So you can watch TV, you can watch whatever you like to watch?
Yeah.
What else is good about it?
Well, grocery shopping.
Yeah, grocery shopping's fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
What do you like to buy when you grocery shop?
Wine coolers. Can he buy wine coolers?
He's not old enough yet. Not yet. So, Amanda, what do you like about yourself right now?
Behave myself till Christmas time.
Well, I hope you're going to behave yourself after Christmas time, right?
Yes, I will.
Okay. Yeah.
Just setting short-term goals right now, right? Absolutely.
This is going soon.
It is. It really is.
Sometimes you reach a point in your life when you're out of chances, when no one believes in you and no one believes you can succeed. Amanda Porter reached that point several years ago. After living in an adolescent treatment facility for teenagers with mental illness, she turned 21 and needed a place to live. Her family found a home for her and an agency to support her. Unfortunately, Amanda had a difficult time and things went from bad to worse.
We went through 10 months of this, back to her treatment center for a year, back with another agency to the house again. And when it fell apart the second time, she ended up in a psychiatric hospital for 6 months. And Joe and I were devastated. We didn't know what else we could do. We basically had thought we had done it all, and certainly the idea of bringing Amanda home never occurred to us back then, because it wasn't that it didn't occur to us, but I was positive we couldn't do it, that we didn't have what it took, and that it would definitely had to be someone 24 hours. And then one day I heard myself saying that we can't do this, we can't take her home, we can't do that. And I really listened to what I was saying. And I realized that if Joe and I didn't think this was going to work, because we've been hearing from all the professionals that Amanda probably would need to remain in an institution. She was probably one of the few that would never make it. And if I didn't even believe she could make it, then nobody else was ever going to.
Sometimes all you need is a second chance, and for others to believe in you. Amber and Joe had faith in Amanda and felt there must be a solution. So they contacted Windsor Essex Brokerage for personal supports to help them figure things out.
Just talking to Amanda.
The big question for Amber and Joe at the time was, how Amanda was going to move back to Windsor from the institution. And we started by Brokerage was being asked to facilitate a brainstorming session with folks from the community, those who worked with Amanda and those who had known her for a long time. And out of that brainstorming came some ideas around, maybe Amanda should be living in the country, and maybe it should be quiet, and maybe there should be a swing in the backyard. But Amber and Joe, after really looking at everything, and decided that in order for Amanda to have the life that she wanted and that they wanted for her, she needed to be close to them. And that's how the discussion started, with converting their garage of their house to an apartment.
We turned our garage into an apartment, a one-bedroom apartment. And what we have is staff there about 10 to 12 hours a day, shorter on weekends, some gaps during a few of the days in the afternoon. So we're using about 70 to 75 hours a week of staffing.
Amanda's apartment is completely self-contained with a separate entrance. She's close enough that her parents can help if need be, but a separate apartment provides her with the space she needs. They began the hiring process well before construction was completed, and were well aware they had to proceed cautiously.
Amanda's got the potential to really hurt people, and so I didn't want to even try hiring staff on my own. I really wanted a backup plan, and so I stayed with the agency, and we had that option. The agency had given us the option of letting the person be their employer or us going on our own. And so what they do is they screen and do an initial interview of people, and then we sit down with Amanda and myself and my husband and the staff person, and Amanda interviews and asks questions like, do you like going for beer, and do you smoke cigarettes, and things that are important to her. And then they often go over to her apartment and spend some time together. And I'm finding that by the time somebody's been with Amanda for about 5 minutes, I can often tell if they're comfortable or not. And I'm willing to give almost anybody a chance if they're comfortable with her, because that's the most important criteria.
What kind of jobs did you have?
Laura Lynn Chamberlain was one of the first women hired to work with Amanda. As one of 4 staff who work part-time with her, she's well aware that the secret is taking the time to get to know Amanda.
As you get to know her, you can catch on to her moods, little warning signs, things like that. For someone new who's just come in, they might not, and it might be a little bit easier to make mistakes, although I find that instinct comes in. That's covering the more challenging side. But in general, I mean, most people find it very easy to just talk to Amanda and hang out with her, so that's not a problem at all. So, but it is really important for somebody to kind of get to know her at first. When we all started, we had shadow shifts where we'd work with other people, like her mother at first, and we just kind of see how she interacts with her, and she would be a model for us to learn from.
Sometimes just the way you rephrase a sentence or answer a request and not answering it by just repeating it back, like, boy, that's something you really want to do, isn't it? Will de-escalate what could be a whole big major problem. And we just did that constantly until the staff started to take on some of that themselves. And so we very much made sure that we were available and that there was no total pressure until we got a sense that they were ready. And I think that really worked.
You sit down and play Millionaire with me?
Yeah, we'll play Millionaire.
Just watch it.
Okay, when it comes on.
The key to Amanda's success lies in the ability of her workers to read her moods and to be aware of the subtle triggers that may set her off. That level of awareness is possible when people are living person-directed lives. When those working with them know them well, respect their right to make decisions, and make the effort to listen to them. It often doesn't happen in facilities.
I can remember walking in a few times in her past where she lived, and there would have been a blow up, and I came over afterwards, and when I would say, well, what happened? And I'd hear things like, well, she wanted to fold her clothes up in her bedroom, and I told her she couldn't. They had to be folded in the basement. And some of the simple things that we take for granted that we can do every day, it's very easy to forget that without consciously thinking about them, we can impose those things on other people, and they take it until they blow or until they have some way of letting us know it's not working. So the personal decision, it's all about that. It's all about feeling that you've got control over what you're doing from minute to minute.
But does choice and control come with a cost? Everyone can agree that a person's quality of life will be better with person-directed living. But can we afford it?
It is costing the taxpayers somewhere between $70,000 and $80,000. And I used to think that was such a horrible cost until I started to realize that when Amanda was in the hospital, it was probably triple that. When Amanda was being staffed 24 hours, she had a roommate, but it was Amanda that needed most of the care, and they had to double staff. And we're probably talking 150 to 180,000 a year then. And quality of life was nothing like what it is now. And even for Amanda to be in jail would probably cost as much, which would be the alternative, because she has the potential and has been very violent. And people have tried to charge her, and the police have usually talked them out of it. And that hasn't happened in a year.
I guess a better question would be, as a society, how can we withhold person-directed living? As a taxpayer, I'm thrilled with the fact that Amanda is receiving funding that results in a savings of over 50 to 75%. With that saving comes a lifestyle that Amanda chooses and controls, and it's helped her to control her behavior. It's been a difficult couple of years for Amanda, Amber, and Joe, but they've learned a great deal and have made real changes that will make their situation work.
I realized in the beginning that I needed to take a different way of looking at it. So I needed to learn that whatever was going to work, I was doing the best I could do for now. And if it changed tomorrow, I would deal with it tomorrow. So that made a big difference. And then the second part was when things got really bad, because at Christmas and New Year's, it was basic hell. Amanda totally trashed her apartment 3 times over 4 days, to the point where no one would go in, not even myself or my husband, except to put some food in on the table, to talk to her from a distance and make sure she was taking her meds, because none of us felt safe. And yet, as things go along, and I've had a month or two of pleasant times, which we'd had, and then hell falls apart, I've got to just realize this is who Amanda is, and there are always going to be these bumps in the road. And that was, so it's just not giving up. That's all.
So after 2 years in her apartment, Amanda continues to work hard to control her behavior. She's had and will have many difficult days, but she's committed to making the most of this opportunity. Amanda is living her life under her terms, just as she should.
Amanda wears shorts all year round. She loves them. You don't like pants very much, do you?
So it's all winter. No problem about it.
Tell us more about freedom.
Good choices in life. It's freedom, right?